Hello and welcome to another video by Rick Miracle. Me. In my new series, Year 2020, Rick Miracle Report, and this will be number 14. I've been making videos on UFOs, aliens, magazines, and the Contact magazine. Real war is on the mental battlefield. Year of the Patriot, 1995. Contact magazine, we're moving into the neck of the funnel. The Phoenix Project. Contact, 1993. And today's video conversation will be on another one out of this magazine of Contact. British mind control plot to overthrow America. Tavistock, Freemasonry, Nazis, MK Ultra, etc. So I was continuing to read this magazine after making a video or two from it, and I came across this other topic. Mystery Babylon the Great and the City of the Seven Hills. Mystery Babylon the Great. So I'm aware that we the people are being prepared for something. Propaganda exists. Fake news exists. Lies, deception, rewriting of history exists. What most people know is a minuscule amount of the truth. Regrettably, that's true, but a lot of people don't want to believe that. They want to be in denial. So what is this Mystery Babylon the Great religion and the City of the Seven Hills? If you're an American, probably you grew up Christian. If you're from anywhere in the Middle East, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Palestine, you're probably Islamic, and they have several different groups of different Islamic religions, the Sunnis, the Shiites, etc. And a lot of those Arabs are Christians. A lot of them are atheists. A lot of them Hindu or Buddhist. So when you think about all of the Middle East, try not to think that they're all one religion. They're as varied as we are here in the United States or in any country in Europe, and the different indigenous tribes in Africa and all over the world. But this Mystery Babylon, this group of people who have been operating from behind the scenes for thousands of years, apparently into a satanic, demonic religion. There's so many names and words you could throw at this. Moloch, Baal, B-A-A-L, Moab, god of Moab, Satan, Lucifer, fallen angels, archons, and of course there's a twist to it with the UFO and alien topic. Gray aliens, reptilian beings, snake people, serpent people, and the serpent is a major religious symbol all over the world. The serpent, the dragon. So what's the truth and what's going on? So I'd like to expose a little bit of the deception. Maybe it'll help go a long way. So Mystery Babylon the Great and the City of Seven Hills. It says in Revelation, I think chapters 17 and 18, about the whore or the harlot of the Babylon will be the demon god that rises to help bring about Armageddon, destruction of the world. So who is this beast, serpent, satanic, luciferic, Moloch, Baal being? Is it the fallen angels? Are they cast out beings from the cosmos? That's what the Bible says. But let me tell you about some real stuff that's happened and that's happening. So apparently somebody from South Africa sent this report to the Contact magazine. You can look this up, the Phoenix Project, the Phoenix Journals, Contact magazine, and find it 4winds10.com or .org, and you shouldn't have any trouble. If you do, I got a comment section. I can get you hooked up to where these magazines are. They're about 70, 80, 90 pages each, and probably 1,000 of them. They were printed regularly for 10 years. All right, so to this article. It says here, Perez gives Jerusalem to the Vatican. So Perez would be the leader of Israel, prime minister, like we have a president here in the United States. Perez gives Jerusalem to the Vatican. So there's a huge problem with Jerusalem and the facility called King Solomon's Temple, which is part of this mystery Babylon, harlot, whore of Babylon, demonomic, satanic religion. They want to rebuild King Solomon's Temple. A temple where they sacrifice animals. But if you look into Moloch and some of these other demon gods, you can see that they're sacrificing humans. And I don't believe the God, creator of humanity and the world, particularly needs sacrifices to him. But apparently these demon gods do that. And think about it, when you kill a human being in a sacrifice, that human being probably is quite in a state of horror, and the spirit of that individual leaves the body. And maybe these demon beings feed off of the souls and spirits of people. As gruesome as it is to talk about that, theorizing, or there's a competition between heaven and Hades, possibly these different fourth dimension locations, for the souls of men. And the Lord's Prayer says, do not lead me into temptation, deliver me from evil. So apparently we're on planet Earth and we're under constant temptation, and a lot of people get caught up in evil. I don't even have to begin talking about it. Everybody knows it. The governments all over the world, the United States, are controlled by evil forces. And there's so many of us willing to join them so we can have some wealth and have a big yacht and live in a gated community and be called a billionaire. Human lives don't matter to these people, so it seems. So Perez gives Jerusalem to the Vatican. So at the site of King Solomon's Temple, after it was destroyed, the Islamic people built the Dome of the Rock on that site. So the Islamic Muhammad religion, one of its most holy sites is the Dome of the Rock, which sits on the King Solomon's Temple's ruins. So if they want to rebuild King Solomon's Temple, they have to do away with the Islamic peoples, all those countries in the Middle East, North Africa, get rid of their most holy site. That's not going to be pretty. Those people are going to fight for their holy religious site. So apparently the leader of Israel had a brilliant idea and said, well, we'll just give Jerusalem to the Vatican, so the Vatican can be responsible for the whole of Jerusalem, King Solomon's Temple, and be involved in policing the Arabs, the Islamic people. And like I said, not all Arabs are all Islamic. Some of them are Christians and atheists and Buddhist, Hindu, Zoroastrianism. Probably a lot of them are into Satanism also. So in a message given to Jordan King Hussein on Saturday evening, a high-level delegation of officials of the Vatican stated that the old city of Jerusalem must be under one power only. The one power they were referring to is the Vatican itself, that has signed an agreement with Israel to gain authority over the holy sites of Jerusalem. So there you have it. Little manipulation. And of course, the military of the United States, the Pentagon, seems to be the police force pretty much directed by Israel, the Zionists, who want to rebuild King Solomon's temple and create a one world religion. And remember, at the temple, they sacrifice animals and maybe humans. And they've already been having some rehearsals, and you can go on YouTube and see some current sacrifices going on. They sacrifice the animal, if it's an animal, in a closed tent, and then they come out with a pail full of blood. So we don't really know what they're sacrificing or who they're sacrificing. Crazy, you think? So a close friend of Israel's foreign minister Simon Peres, French intellectual Mark Halter, revealed in late May that he personally delivered a letter from Peres to the Pope that outlined the foreign minister's plans for Jerusalem. And if you're paying attention at all, you know recently President Donald Trump, this is February 1st, 2020, but last year or the year before, President Donald Trump said that the United States recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. So it was supposed to be a capital or a place, Jerusalem, was supposed to be shared by half a dozen or more different religions. The Assyrians, the Christians, the Jewish people, the Islamic people, and other different cults and religions were all supposed to share Jerusalem to avoid the conflict that would come from the fighting over it. But they're playing games to get around it. And President Donald Trump's recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and having his head put on a coin, and even recently, a couple days ago, signing some kind of treaty and legislation with some kind of new plan to so-called resolve the conflict between the Palestinian people and the people of Israel. Apparently, even on the front page of the newspapers, it said the plan was weighted heavily towards Israel's favor. So what does that tell you? And of course, you can look up on the internet, and Donald Trump and his wife and his daughter and son-in-law, the whole family, went to the Wailing Wall, King Solomon's temple. One wall still stands, and they put the little Jewish hats on, and they put little letters in the cracks of the wall. So we can see what's going on here. The current administration is totally in bed with the Zionist Israelis who plan on rebuilding King Solomon's temple, which means the Dome of the Rock has to be destroyed. But back here in 1994, when this Contact magazine was put out, you go look it up. The magazine is November 15th, 1994. So back then, part of this plan, as you can see, 1994, that's like 25 years ago, this whole program for this global world order has been moving forward. And a lot of people don't want to believe it, don't pay attention, just worry about their daily lives. They don't care about all the murder and killing and stealing, taking all the resources from the Middle East and other countries. Venezuela. So it's all over resources, lands, and depopulation, so it seems. And it seems to be seriously anti-Christian and anti-Hindu, Buddhism, Islamic, etc. The devil doesn't care about all those religions. All right, according to the details of the plan, the city will stay the capital of Israel, but will be administered by the Vatican. The city will have an Israeli mayor and a Palestinian mayor, both under orders from the Pope. So they were trying to give Jerusalem to the Vatican so that they did not have to take responsibility for it and have to fight with the Muslims, the Arabs, the Islamic people, or the Christians, for that matter. The plan was first published in the Italian newspaper La Stampa on September 10th, 1993, 3 days before Rabin met Arafat in Washington. Further details of the plan call for Jerusalem to become a second Vatican. So besides the Vatican in Italy, Jerusalem, they're saying, would become a second Vatican of the world, with all three major religions represented within but under the authority of the Vatican. A Palestinian state will emerge in confederation with Jordan, with its religious capital being Jerusalem and its administrative situation elsewhere, probably Nubius. So there's more to this than meets the eye, but I'll keep reading. Let's see, it says here, these people that create this magazine, Contact, have been interested in prophecy and the increasing signs of their fulfillment in our time. The above information is potentially one of the greatest warnings. That's why I'm making a video. One of the greatest warnings. Further confirmation of the report has not yet been received. However, an article in the 9/4/1994 issue of the Orlando Sentinel newspaper stated that the Vatican established full diplomatic ties with Israel in June. Further, Pope John Paul II said Saturday that the Vatican was close to sealing diplomatic ties with the Palestine Liberation Organization 25 years ago. So we've seen that's not happened. The Israelis have not wanted to give up anything and keep grabbing at more land and killing more Palestinian people. And as of 9/11, 20 years ago, most of the Arab countries have been toppled, the president, the leaders, through internal controlled revolutions, so they say, or blatant attack after 9/11, and confiscation of the oil resources and other resources, and puppet leaders put in charge of these countries. But moving on to this article, we all know this is true, what I just said. It will be obvious to any student of the Vatican and its hierarchy over the last 50 years that it has been infiltrated by the communist, Zionist, and Freemasons. So the communist, Zionist, and Freemasons all are into this mystery religion of Babylon, the harlot of Babylon, the whore of Babylon, demon god Baal, Moloch, Moab, Satanism, Luciferianism. Even Albert Pike, the leader of the Freemasons in the southern jurisdiction of the United States, who was a general for the South in 1860s, said that Lucifer was their deity. So there's no mistaking about who their deity is. The communist, the Zionist, and the Freemasons, and all the other secret societies, and the banksters and elites who control our world. Apparently, interestingly enough, in the Bible, Satan takes Jesus to a mountaintop, and he says, if you get down on your knee, I'll give you the whole world. You see it behind me? I'll give you the whole world. It's in the Bible. And Jesus said, I don't need this world. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. So in the fourth dimension, in heaven, there are many mansions. So apparently these elite people who control our planet have been probably made the same offer by Satan. I'll give you the whole world if you'll obey me and bend the knee to me and worship me. And ultimately, we're going to destroy all the religions, and everybody is going to be forced to worship me, Satan, the devil, Lucifer, Baal, Moloch, fallen angel, Archon, whatever you want to call it, many names. And the people apparently, according to certain laws that have been passed in secret, even in the United States, Noahide laws, the people who refuse to worship this new religion are scheduled to be beheaded. But remember, we're human beings in the third dimension. When we die, our souls leave our bodies. We go into the fourth dimension. And when we go into the fourth dimension, we either go into the heaven world, the cosmos, the universe, or we get imprisoned, maybe recycled or reincarnated on planet Earth or someplace worse. I realize it's hard to take, but I do my research and share this material, show you where to go look it up. I have well over 1,000 books. I've made a lot of videos, and YouTube canceled my channel July 2019, and many others, and people's channels are being deleted even today, 2020. Whether it's Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, websites. So if all my information were to just disappear, you would know that the powers that be had to shut me up also. But as long as I keep a low profile and just a few viewers, apparently they'll let me continue. But if I were to become popular, again, it could be detrimental to my well-being. But I'm not worried about it. I'm a spiritual being, and I'm going to stick it out to the end and not go along with this whore of Babylon, Babylonian religion mentioned in Revelation and many places in the Bible. And I made a lot of videos on these topics. Even in Jeremiah, in the Old Testament, the reason King Nebuchadnezzar from Babylon went down to destroy Jerusalem and the temple was because, as it says in Jeremiah in the Old Testament, the people were sacrificing their sons and daughters to the demon god Moloch and Baal. So it's all tied together. It's the same satanic, demonic religion, and apparently this beast being, leader of the fallen angels, whatever, reincarnates on planet Earth periodically and is scheduled to appear again at the end of this particular cycle and fulfill prophecy in Revelation and many other prophecies. But part of it is the Jerusalem and King Solomon's temple. So apparently they have a maneuver here where they're getting the Vatican to take charge so that it can have a much more power and probably have some kind of battle and saying, oops, somebody bombed or destroyed the Dome of the Rock, the Islamic most holy site. So then they can rebuild King Solomon's temple, because they can't rebuild it till they remove the Dome of the Rock. So that's going to be one heck of a thing when a third of the world's people, the Islamic people, Muslims, become aware that the Dome of the Rock has been destroyed. It'll be a bad price to pay, a world war, I guess, World War III, as prophesied, even by Albert Pike. And a letter was posted in a British museum, and he said this would be the reason that we had World War III. And apparently Israel is scheduled to be destroyed. It will be obvious to any student of the Vatican and its hierarchy over the last 50 years that it has been infiltrated by communists, Zionists, and Masons. The crucial impact of the Jews on Vatican policy, rituals, and activities began to be unequivocally felt at Vatican Council II by Pope John the 23rd and completed by Pope Paul IV. The final vote of the council was proclamated by Pope Paul VI on October 28, 1965. The council was stacked with prelates having a strong bias towards the relaxing the Jewish question and changing the Catholic liturgy, the religion, the teaching, to conform to Jewish request. The council has been organized by Cardinal B, assigned to John the 23rd Pope, to examine through a working party relations between the church and Israel. So for 25 years they've been scheming and putting people in power, trying to fulfill prophecy. The Jewish layman Jules Isaac brought the Jewish questions against church doctrine, first to several high-level meetings and then to Pope John the 23rd. In short, Mr. Isaac was warmly received by Pope John. He accused the Christians of being the cause of the Jews' problem because they had proclamated the idea that the Jews killed Jesus. Well, let's just clear up something here. The word Jew was created in the 1700s, 300 years ago. There was no such thing as a Jew. The people of this Hebrew religion, so-called Jewish religion, but the word Jew didn't exist. They were called Pharisees, and their holy book was the Talmud, which is a derivative of the Kabbalah. And the Kabbalah is a satanic book on communicating with beings in the fourth dimension, and particularly evil beings, so that they could get power and fulfill their demented and perverted desires. So they weren't Jews, they were Pharisees. And there's several different groups of these people, not Jews. Akanazis came from behind my head area. Oops. I got to get my thing backwards. Right here. This whole area was the land of the Khazars. This is Mongolia, China, Ukraine, Georgia, all of this area. Kazakhstan was Khazars. They all converted to this Kabbalah Talmud religion more than 1,000 years ago. So they were called Aka-Nazis. Interesting comparison to Nazis. And the other original Hebrews were called Sabbatans. Shepherdetics, for being Arab people living in the desert. Shepherdetics. The ones to the north, I just showed you, good portion of Russia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Belarus, Poland, and in the south of there, Georgia, were Khazarians. And they all converted to this Hebrew Talmudic Kabbalah religion. There was no word Jew back then. And it is a book on communicating with invisible beings and gaining power, just like King Solomon had a six-pointed ring. And with that ring, he could call forth demons, and that's how he got his power. The six-pointed ring, the Star of David, they call it, the six-pointed star on the Israeli flag. The six-pointed star symbol on the demon god Moloch, if you go look it up. And many other places, it's some kind of geometry and magic Kabbalah symbol to communicate interdimensionally between third dimension and fourth dimension, to get these beings, these invisible beings, to help them gain power and fulfill their perverted and demented desires in controlling people and slaughtering people. And this Khazarian nation, the Khazars, were next door neighbors and blood relations to the Mongolians. And of course, Genghis Khan from Mongolia, 1,000+ years ago, ravaged all of the Eastern Asia, Western Asia, Southern Asia, and Eastern Europe, down into the north of Africa, slaughtering untold amounts of people viciously. You can look up Genghis Khan. Anyways, he was a relationship and the next door neighbors to these Khazarians, who were also known as vicious barbarians, and they all converted to the satanic Kabbalah, Talmud, Zionist secret society religion. These are the people who are controlling our world, and they're playing games here to get control over the King Solomon's temple. And this goes all the way back, like I said, to since the time of the creation of Israel in 1947 after World War II. And of course, World War I and World War II were to destroy the Ottoman Empire located in Turkey, which controlled all of the Middle East, so that these Khazarians, Akanazis, and Shepherdetic and Pharisee Jewish people could take control of the whole region. And they had control of the United States and Canada and Britain and France and all these countries through their banking empires. And they put their puppet leaders in as our presidents and senators and church leaders, etc., etc. So if you want to know what's going on in my 30-minute video, that's it in a nutshell. And they're playing games with the land back then. And they're accusing that the Catholic Church is responsible for all of the Jews' problems for the past 2,000 years. But there was no word Jew. They were called Pharisees, Akanazis, Shepherdetics, and a lot of them, not all of them, were into the Talmudic religion, which there's even books on the Talmudic, or I should say Kabbalah, magic. You can buy books on Kabbalah magic. Magic is practiced by witches, and it's an evil thing when you use that power to dominate and take control of other people's for your demented and perverted desires and wealth. So it says here, they had proclamated the idea that the Jews killed Jesus. His arguments can be read at length at Vicomte Leon de Poncio's book, Judaism and the Vatican. So there's a book published, Judaism and the Vatican, where all this can be verified. Pope John the 23rd seems to have been more than happy to pick up the name of the Catholic Church and all the guilt. Pick up, and in the name of the Catholic Church, all the guilt. So you don't know who these men are that they managed to get into the Vatican seat, who then picked their own name, Pope John the 23rd, Pope John the 8th, Pope John the 13th, Pope John the 6th, and all these other names they choose. But apparently they did get an agent into the church who was willing to embrace the whole idea that the Catholic Church, falsely accusing the Jews, which there was no word Jews back then, it was the Pharisees, had Jesus killed. And that these very Pharisees, Akanazis, Shepherdetic people worshiping in the Encyclopedia Judaica, the Kabbalah, which is a magic, and that's why the Pharisees, Akanazis, Shepherdetic, Hebrew people were cast out of Spain and Britain and Germany and France and so many other countries in the 15 and 1600s, because they were having all these dead bodies, little boys, who were disposed of, thrown in the woods or in the river or whatever, hidden in the basement, when they killed them and drew their blood for their Kabbalah satanic rituals. So the straw that broke the camel's back is this stuff was reaching the courts, and the people were rioting with pitchforks, and the church exiled all of these Pharisees, Akanazis, Shepherdetic, Hebrews who were into the Kabbalah, magic, witchcraft book, and they fled to Caesarea, this whole place behind my back here, and up in the Ireland, Scotland area, until they could infiltrate their way back into Britain and France and have the kings beheaded in the 1700s and take control of a lot of these countries in the world again and fulfill the prophecy. So my 30 minutes are up. I can't get much into these, but I'll continue making videos and sharing these tidbits of information. And you can take notes. You can go on the internet, Phoenix Journals, Contact Magazine, 4winds10.com, and get these Contact magazines. Read it for yourself. Share it with people. Email the PDF documents to people. It's all free. Thank you for watching my video. Rick Merico reporting.